you're going to roll coil for handle and form the cylinder. You'll work in the large tables, 4 to a table. So I have some workable clay here, and notice I kept it covered because any air exposure is going to start to dry it up. I have my slabs that are more soft, leather hard now. So your slabs are all here, and you can tell that they're nice and they're stiffer as they should be. They're not as floppy. So they'll be ready to form into a cylinder in the round. I got myself a mat. I also, in the table group, can share. We have containers that you can put a little bit of water and keep a sponge on your table. I have a ruler. I have a needle tool. And these tools that are all located right here, these wooden tools, these are modeling tools. They're very useful. But what do you think the best modeling tool is? Your fingers, yeah. But sometimes it's hard to get into tight spaces. That's why these tools are very useful. All right, so take the base. I also have a slip and a scoring tool. These scoring tools, sometimes people think that they just want to scratch in the clay and that's texture or that's some sort of design. It really isn't meant for that. So I'm scoring, well first I guess, back up. See how this is going to fit on the base or around the base. Just take a look and see how it's going to fit on there. So I see that I have some extra clay. Maybe what I would do is mark it off where I don't need that much clay. Okay? Being careful to make sure the cylinder is upright. Okay? So I know that I can trim away this excess amount. You ready with me on that?
Yes.
It's about an extra 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch of material that I don't need. I might do something like that. Some of you might have a small circle and the slab needs to go on top of the base. But for me, it's going to go around the edge, the circumference of that. Okay? So first I'm going to score the edge of the circumference of my circle base. And I don't have to get it really slimy, just a little bit of moisture. If it's too wet, it will just slip around. Then I want to score the inside of my slab. I hope this comes out good. Remember, one of the things that's really helpful when you're working with clay is just to stay calm and relaxed. Okay?
Keep calm and make pottery.
Keep calm and make pottery. Yeah, that's right.
area.
Keep calm. In this case, we're going to keep calm and make pottery and work together. I still need to trim a little bit. It's still too big. Okay. You can get a little nervous, a little anxious doing this when it's unfamiliar. All right, I have to score this side. Score this side. And I'm going to be joining that together using my fingers. Smoothing away that seam. It's a seam. We don't want anybody to know where the end is and where
That looks cool.
where the end or where the beginning is. Johnny, paying attention?
Yeah.
If you're not, you're going to miss out. You're not going to know exactly what to do.
You can watch the video.
Yeah, you can just watch the video.
Well, I'm not going to play it. You're going to do that at home?
I will. Yes.
Great. Good. That's what it's for. You want to review at home.
I'd rather watch this than any of the TV. You're live.
Ideally, you guys would watch it at home and be prepared to get right to work. That would be what's called flipped instruction. All right, and I have to model the seam on the bottom. Why?
So that doesn't make
Nate?
So the water doesn't leak.
Yes, if I want to use this to hold any kind of
I
liquid,
guess she's holding water.
I don't want any leaks.
I don't either.
You know, there's a whole, right? I see that my top is a little uneven, so I would actually not use this tool because it's not ideal. I'd use the knife to trim the top. Model all the seams, which takes time, so I'm not going to completely do it. But everything takes time. One thing that pottery teaches the most is patience and perseverance. The most valuable thing you can learn while working with pottery. Because it really does take slowing down and working very slowly, slow and steady, wins the race.
It always does.
So I could even model the seam inside using the modeling tool because my hands, it's kind of difficult to fit in there.
Yeah.
All right,
I've used my mug every
so
day
you
of my
can
life.
put that to the side. I don't want to block the camera. And think about now your coil. I have my clay right here, but I had it covered up so that it wasn't drying out while I was talking. And I'm going to take that tip that he said and just wet the table a little bit.
That's a good tip.
I think it's an excellent tip.
How would you?
It's amazing.
You can learn a lot from watching people who practice this all the time.
Yeah.
You can learn a lot from your teachers because they have experience in their area
I
of
always
expertise.
learn from you, Miss Murray.
So watch and learn. As he said, you have to really make sure you're going all the way and rolling your coil. You have a huge coil. Let me cut this in half, because I don't need quite that much.
No, it's after.
So yeah,
And it's starting to square off. It's very,
That thing
very
goes
easy
out.
to do that. So I'm going to just tap it a little bit, round it off. Using two hands, the palms of my hand, again, it's squaring off again. Tap it. So even I have to make adjustments. And I also feel that there's a hole in the middle of this. See how there's a hole in the middle of this coil? That's not going to work. So I have to compress that back together. Because I got it out of the used bag, and if there's, if it's not wedged so that there's no air in it, Liam, then you'll have holes in the middle. Did you have a question or
It
something?
might explode.
So much fun. All right, he showed you a couple of ways you could add a little still air in there. Make sure you wedge the clay first. 'Cause, it's still too long. And I'll show you what that looks like, but I'm not going to stop this. All right, starting to get a coil. And you want it to be something that is going to have enough scale. And if you want to do something a little creative with it, you can. But just remember that it's going to be very fragile, the handle. And it's very tempting even while you're working on it to use the handle. It will fall off. Don't even think of using it as a handle until it's been fired. Another way you could make the handle, instead of using the coil method, is
Can I make
grab
my
a
handle a
roller.
straw?
What?
Can I make my handle a straw?
I don't think that would work,
Why?
then it'd blow up your candle.
because I just don't.
That'd be sick.
I think that would be very difficult. I just rolled a slab, because I was thinking my mug is pretty big and heavy, and I think a stronger type of thing. But I like what the video presenter just showed, is
Exaggerated.
really just opening that up so that it's flattened out,
Let yourself go.
thinking about how you want to attach that. And you might need to let it just set up a little bit before you continue. Meaning, just let it get harder. Maybe I will do a little fancy thing. I've seen students come up with all kinds of ideas. Maybe make a little loop on the bottom of it. He said on the video to make it look like a D. Why?
Oh.
Why does that make sense? Philip? Did you have a question?
No, I'm not Philip.
Oh,
This is
Peter.
Peter.
Sorry, second day meeting.
Peter
you.
Francis
okay.
Murphy.
I'll probably end up calling you Philip for the rest of the year, but
Okay.
it's like all the kids.
It's alright.
Fill her up.
Didn't you have to score it? Just
Not
suggest it?
necessarily.
Okay.
But, you know, at first I want to just make sure it fits on there and that it's going to stay and that I like it. And also, what the question I asked is, why did he say make it in the shape of a D? The negative space, David.
Because that's where how your hand fits.
Yeah, you want it to be comfortable to hold. This one's a little small, so all I can fit is 2 fingers in there. But ideally, you want to be able to fit all 4 fingers.
So that's just.
I mean, do the best you can. Sometimes if the mug's a little smaller, a couple of fingers is enough to hold it. Remember, it's going to have liquid in it, which is going to make it even heavier. And also, did I tell you the clay is going to shrink? Yeah.
Yeah, 12%.
So it's going to shrink more. It's not going to be quite as big as it starts to dry out. All right, so these 2 things are today's objective. Now let me just tell you now how you clean up. All the unused clay will be returned to one bag that I'll probably have on this table, an empty bag. All the tools need to be returned. Remember, the mats are under this black table. So everybody hear that? Where are the mats?
Under that black table.
Thank you.
Black
And the scoring tools in the slip. There's some Chobani yogurt cups. You can add a little of this slip to if you need.
That's some
The
excellent,
rolling
excellent
pins
yogurt.
go in the crate. What else do I have over here? See
Which
this
one can-
box? This says bags on it. Okay? Because we all stored your clay together on a big board. Today, after today's class, here's what I'd like you to do. Take your form that's all modeled and put together. Carefully place it inside a grocery bag and make sure that it's nicely covered up. Okay? Maybe we'll have time to put your name with masking tape on it. And the shelf behind Spencer, those shelves, that's where I'd like to store your mugs, your forms. The other thing that you can do, or you might be able to do, if you have time, but you can also do this tomorrow when we come back. My handle fell off because it wasn't completely attached. Because I didn't spend all the time that I needed, but I just wanted to show you. Another thing you can do, once all this is done, is you can think, do I want to make this into something that would pour? If that's the case, you can begin to pinch a spout into the form. And the other thing that you can do is you can gently put all 4 fingers inside the cylinder and begin to alter it by pushing out if you want to make it a little more rounded at the bottom, at the base. And I'm going to keep working on this during the class with you
Here. 2013.
because I need some more stuff in my house. I'm going to fill my
Let's
house.
go. You charted on the.
What, David?
Yep.
I just asked what you're talking about. I don't want to be left out. We have a few, as I said, of these. So if I was doing something like that and I really wanted to use this tool, a little wobbly, to help turn the form rather than having to pick it up off the table. But can you see what I'm doing by pushing out the form slightly? You don't want to push it out so that you break it. And you can only do that if you have a lot of material, meaning if the slab is thick enough. If it's not, I wouldn't attempt this. I'm gonna make another little container for, what's it? I'm gonna take my handle out and get that on there properly. Alright? So, all the tools will be returned. Yesterday, I have to say, this is what I see. You know, people have a hard time. I understand it gets crowded and everybody's in a hurry. But people put tools back in like that. Take an extra minute, Sydney. Just put it inside so that they're not all sticking out.
That's right.
So what I want you to do first off is decide which 4 people are you're going to sit with. One person come over here so we don't have the 25 of you in this area. So one person come over and start to gather tools for the group, for the table of 4. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And then we'll get your slabs. You can get some clay up. I'll put the clay on that black table rather than this table. How's that sound? You got to figure out how to work best. So does everybody have a good handle on it?
Ah, that's a good one, Miss Mary.
Thank you.